And new at 5 o'clock, Maryland is now the first state in the entire nation to get rid of a set of rules that gave police protections because of the nature of their job. Those changes will start to go into effect later on this year against the wishes of many police unions and the governor. WJZ is live tonight. Avajoy Burnett tells us the recent calls for racial justice are closely tied to this controversial reform. Avajoy.
Rick, advocates have been pushing lawmakers in Annapolis for decades now to try to repeal the Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights, but they never quite gathered enough support to make it across the finish line. That's until last year, after the death of George Floyd.
As tens of thousands of protesters marched in 2020, a broader change was on the horizon. Advocates who'd called for states to get rid of laws that protected police officers believe George Floyd's death in police custody would finally get lawmakers on board.
The social unrest definitely put pressure on, major political figures to make some substantial changes in the arena of police accountability.
This year, Maryland became the first state to repeal the Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights. It had protections for police because of the high-pressure nature of their jobs and the split-second decisions they have to make. After repealing that bill, lawmakers then passed measures that would give regular citizens a seat at the table to review officer misconduct cases and even recommend charges against officers.
A big part of the importance of repealing the LUBR is to make it so that the police don't get to just police themselves.
Members of law enforcement believe stripping the protection officers have is a mistake.
I think that's the problem with it. You have people who don't understand what the men and women haven't walked a mile in their shoes, so to speak.
The governor said the new measures would erode police morale. Sheriff Gaylor is concerned fewer people will choose the career.
We're going to see less men and women choosing law enforcement as a future career. Already before this legislation, police officers getting out of the profession.
Now, Maryland was the first state to enact the Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights in 1974. It's now the first state to replace it with other rules, repeal and replace it with other measures that are stricter against police officers, including limitations on no-knock warrants. Live tonight at 5, Avajoy Burnett for WJZ.